Mr. Speaker, this particular section has not been nullified, neither has it been declared to be unconstitutional. So for us as members of parliament, we wondered how can the High Court declare that the constituency is just merely an electoral unit. Yet we know that there is an act of parliament which clearly states that a constituency is a service delivery unit. It is not meant to be for purposes of voting only. The second thing, Mr. Speaker, is the misunderstanding also of the High Court, that the members of parliament are the managers of the NGCDF fund. Mr. Speaker, we labor at this point, we try to tell them, but it looks like they put wool in their ears. Mr. Speaker, we all know that the members of parliament do not sit in the constituency committees. We never sit there. Two, we don't play any role. In fact, the only role we play, Mr. Speaker, is that we participate with all our voters in identifying the projects. And we all sit. It's a public participation. That is, I'm being assisted by Honorable Alice, who knows very well what she does in a constituency in Thika town. Mr. Speaker, when I go for public participation, I don't sit with the NGCDF officials. I sit with the voters. And I am a participant. And I also identify projects which I think the NGCDF must fund. Mr. Speaker, you know there was one question that we were asked and you know you presented this matter. And he was asked at that time, are you sure if I come to your constituency, I will not find schools that bear the name Honorable Kaluma under NGCDF? We told them, no, just come. But they refused to come, Mr. Speaker. And yet they still went ahead and stated that the members of parliament are active participants in the implementation of NGCDF projects, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have never participated in them. I have not opened them. When they are being opened by the NGCDF committee, I also participate also to go and hear what they are saying. And I'm very happy that they have done a good job, Mr. Speaker. The only thing I do, Mr. Speaker, is when I am around in the constituency, I do my oversight role under Section 95. As you know, the work of a member of parliament under Section 95 of the Constitution is oversight, representation, legislation, and budgeting, Mr. Speaker. And we allocate resources, and we don't go and spend. Mr. Speaker, there is no member of parliament here who walks around with a checkbook or who is a signatory of NGCDF funds in any bank, Mr. Speaker. We don't sit, neither do we appoint the fund managers. In fact, in the ruling of the High Court, they say that the term of the fund manager is tied to that one of the member of parliament. I don't know where they got that story. It is not true. The fund manager is a permanent employee of the NGCDF board. It has not held office for 5 years. Even if he or she holds office, she holds it office at the pleasure of the NGCDF board, not at the pleasure of the member of parliament. There is a misunderstanding, Mr. Speaker, from the judiciary generally. Mr. Speaker, we have made various attempts as a house. And every time the courts find a reason. Mr. Speaker, this is the house which appropriates money. This is the house which will pass constitutional amendments. Mr. Speaker, which is this constitution amendment that is lacking in the current constitution? We have identified which they have a problem. That is the NGCDF Act, the Senate Oversight Funds, and then CAF. Mr. Speaker, we want to remove these funds from the courts, Mr. Speaker. We want to know what is unconstitutional once now they have been entrenched in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. It is, Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, you know, when we appeared before this three-judge bench, and when we were arguing, we said that these bursaries that is being given by NGCDF has benefited very many students. It was unknown to me that the young lawyers who were in court were beneficiaries of NGCDF. When we completed our arguments, they came to us and told us, why didn't you use us as exhibit because we are beneficiaries of NGCDF. If there was no NGCDF bursary, we would not have been lawyers. Mr. Speaker, you can see what people are seeking to do, to disenfranchise members of our communities, the indigent in our society. Mr. Speaker, we should not accept this. We must entrench these funds in the Constitution to secure their future and secure the future of our children and our communities, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the evolving jurisprudence underscores the need to provide a firm constitutional foundation for the NGCDF to ensure its sustainability. This entrenchment, Mr. Speaker, will provide legal certainty to the funds framework, offering stability for long-term planning and implementation of constituency-based projects, Mr. Speaker. The second thing that it will do, it will promote equitable development by guaranteeing that all constituencies, including marginalized communities, Mr. Speaker, continue to benefit from the necessary infrastructure and services that they so deserve. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Article 95 of the Constitution is extremely very clear. I don't know why the courts have a problem with it. It states, for the avoidance of doubt, that members of parliament resolve issues that are of concern to the people by enacting the NGCDF, the NCAV, the Senate Oversight Fund, Mr. Speaker, and entrenching the Constitution. We will be resolving issues that are of concern to our people, Mr. Speaker. If you go to my constituency, we have very many dilapidated schools that were built using Arambe's in those many years. Mud walls. I have seen pictures from the Honorable Marianne Keitany's schools, which are still in form of mud. So you wonder whether these are cow dens or where people go to school, Mr. Speaker. This NGCDF has assisted to convert some of those classrooms so that they can become habitable classrooms. The third thing that we are seeking to do, Mr. Speaker, is to enhance service delivery by ensuring that critical community development initiatives are implemented efficiently and effectively at the constituency level. Mr. Speaker, this is the only fund, Mr. Speaker, that is known by all Kenyans, and it has served them. We know, and Kenyans have always told us, this is the only fund which has value for money. Why? Because the management funds, the management, the fees or the salaries that is paid out of these funds, Mr. Speaker, is only merely 5%. 95% goes to the projects, Mr. Speaker. We know other institutions which I don't want to mention, and you know. 49% is used for profits, is used for management. So the only thing that goes allowances, and the only, I'm being assisted here by Honorable Lel Mengit, he knows in his constituency he's been suffering the same thing. We know, Mr. Speaker, that it is only 51% which goes to the project. 49% is used for other purposes. And so entrenching this fund in the Constitution will ensure that we get value for money. Mr. Speaker, I want to mention three things why we think that this matter should be entrenched. All these funds must be entrenched in the Constitution. The first thing, Mr. Speaker, it will strengthen accountability and oversight mechanisms for the management of the fund. Mr. Speaker, as you know, without a proper constitutional framework, oversight becomes very difficult. But when we have a proper